So the next concept is transitive dependency. So transitive dependency is taken from the mathematical rule. Like if you remember, if A is equals to B and B is equals to C, so A will be equal to C. So similarly, the concept of transitive dependency is that if A, B, and C are attributes of a relationship, if B is functionally dependent on A and C is functionally dependent on B, so it means that C is transitively dependent on A. So the concept is, for example, if name, position, salary, branch number, and address are functionally dependent on staff number, and branch address is functionally dependent on branch number. So branch address is transitively dependent on staff number. So this is basically transitive dependency where A is equals to B and B is equals to C. So this means that C is equals to uh, C will be equals to A. So this is kind of transitive dependency. So this is basically transitive dependency. So as a database engineer, so this is your job that you have to identify the functional dependencies. So identifying all the functional dependency between set of attributes is simple. If meaning of each attributes and the relationship between those attributes, so you have to understand the relationship between the attributes. So this is one of the example that is given in the slide that you can look at. For example, branch number is dependent on branch address, salary is dependent on branch number, position. So these is one of the examples in uh, functional dependencies. So if you we'll be studying three normal forms that will be coming in your exam. So there are first normal form, second normal form, third normal form. Unnormalized form is the form where the data is where the tables are not currently in normalized form. So unnormalized form means a table that can contain one or more repeating groups, or that can have multiple that can have the values which are multiple. For example, skills. So if you look at this, for example, if we have this dream home lease cards or paper, so we want to computerize the record. So a simple collection is, if we make this table, so we have made this table out of those cards. So if you look at here, for one client number, you have multiple property numbers, you have multiple property addresses, multiple rent starts. So if you remember the rules of the relation, so the first rule of the relation was each cell should be atomic. So if you look at here, each property number is mentioning two things. So if your database, if your tables have in one column you have multiple values, you need to remove that. Or if you have some attributes like skills, you need to remove that as well. So the first normal form is basically converting this. So first normal form means you have to locate these multiple values or multi-value cells, and you have to correct them. So for example, if you look at here, so we have corrected that. Now for each client number you only have one column. So this is indicating the columns or rows which are belong to only one client. So CR76, so it has property number this. So CR76, now here if you look at this, property number is changed. So all the multi-value attributes are now, or the multi-value columns are now fixed using this approach. And one other approach, that if you have multi-column cells like skills, so what you need to do is you need to create another table for them. So if you have repeating groups, you can adjust them by making one group in one row, and if you have multiple values column, then you have to make a new table for that. So this is basically a table where you look at, for example, rent start and finish depends on both client number and property number. Rent client name can be dependent on client number. So property address, rent owner number, name can be partially dependent on this. So owner name and number are transitive dependency. So you can look at this example and you can understand what are partial dependencies and what is transitive dependencies. So second normal form, basically the concept of second normal form is based on full functional dependency. So you have to understand functional dependency before working with this. So second normal form applies to relation with composite keys, means a relation with simple primary key is automatically inside. So you have to, when in the paper you get this, so you have to look at your table. If your table contains two primary keys, then you have to apply second normal form. If your table doesn't contain two primary keys, then you don't have to apply. So you have to look at this statement that if the table is with composite keys, then you have to then you have to apply second normal form. Otherwise, you don't have to apply second normal form. So if you look at here, for example, we have here, this is our primary key, this is partial dependencies. So this is basically candidate keys. So how can we remove basic partial dependencies? So partial dependencies, client name, we have to remove this, and property address, rent owner name. So we have to separate them. So we have separated client name, property address, rent owner number, and name. So you have to look at how which field can be allocated with them, so that can become a primary. So if you look at this table, client number can become primary key for client name, and property number can become the primary key for this table. So we have divided one table into three tables based on partial. So we have removed all the partial dependencies. There in the table now there are all full functional dependencies. So uh, third normal form is you have to remove the transitive dependency. So if you look at previous example, so in this, if you look at in third transitive dependencies, if you look at here, property address, rent, both are dependent on property number. However, this owner name, it is dependent more on owner number rather than property number. So we have to remove this owner name as well. So in third normal form, if you look at the table, so we'll just split the property table into two tables, so which becomes property and owner. So this is basically in first normal form you have to repeat multiple values or repeating groups. In second normal form you have to remove transitive partial dependencies, and in third normal form you have to remove transitive dependencies.